I'm Dan Dawson, Paul Nicholson alongside me for the final. It is the Diamond Ian White and Peter Snakebite Wright. They've averaged over 100 for the whole weekend. It has been special stuff from the pair of these two. Who will prevail, Paul?
Well, up until the final, you could separate them by 1/100th of a point. It's pretty even. It's pretty much a coin flip.
100.
And there can be a case made for either. Now, the stats that you mentioned, Dan, 14 finals, potentially 7 victories. That's a pretty good hit rate in finals.
100.
Can Snakebite get that 7th title and extend his lead as the number 2 of all time on the Euro Tour?
57.
But if Ian White was to get a 2nd title this evening, I think that'd be pretty fair for his career up to date. He has been, for me, the player of the weekend so far. He's just had
83.
so many good legs.
Well, look, Peter Wright's averages, the lowest average he's had was 97.94, and that was the game where he beat Michael van Gerwen. Only the 2nd player to beat him on the Euro Tour this year.
100.
Not many people have beaten him at all this year. But after a couple of spankings in the Premier League, it is an incredible result for Peter Wright to do that. Ian White, his lowest average has been 95.5. That was his first game against Dimitri van den Berg. He did survive 3 match darts, but since then he's played some incredible stuff.
Well, when you're in a tournament and your lowest average is about 95, you must be doing pretty well.
100.
You're always going to have one game that's just a bit stickier. And Ian White has started strongly here on throw. Looking for a treble 12. It's going to take a bit of
52.
initial brilliance from Peter Wright to get this first leg.
44.
Peter Wright is playing in the final of this particular event for the 4th time. Won it once, that was 2 years ago. Whitewashed MVG in the final, one of the most spectacular displays we've ever seen on the European Tour.
I will never forget that night as long as I live. I still remember my face when he hit that final double. Had problems on double 10 in his semi-final. Not this time. Gets it done. This is a longer final, of course. I know you guys are probably used to it by now. We have to emphasise that it's 1st to 8.
Yeah, worth repeating.
95.
Ian White did beat Peter Wright on his way to the title when he won his opening Euro Tour crown in Maastricht back in September. That is his most recent title in PDC darts. Peter Wright won one at about the same time, a Pro Tour event, a floor event, not on a big stage, although it was fresh from him winning on the World Series down under in Australia.
At which point do people have to start taking more notice of Ian White? 3 consecutive finals on the European Tour. When does he get a nod for something a little bit different, like a World Series?
Well, look, Ian White is going to have to go and do it in the big TV events. Of course he is. But the thing is, Ian White, whatever it is that has held him back from being able to enjoy the success in the big TV tournaments that he enjoys in the other events, he is learning to put it right. Finally winning on a big stage was massive for him last year. 3 consecutive finals on the Euro Tour. Surely that is an omen for things to come. And what a set-up shot that is. He leaves himself 3 darts at tops for a breaker throw and a 2-0 lead, unless Peter Wright can take this out.
That wasn't a good dart. That was double 9. That is amazing from Snakey, because Diamond White was right on his tail. Courage of conviction and execution rattles in that double 9, which is so awkward for a right-handed, right-eye dominant player. Really good shot, really aggressive. Sends a message back to Ian White and says, I'm not going away. I want another title as well.
100.
The paths to the final have not been easy. Peter Wright, life was made difficult for him by Neil Zonneveld in his opening game, where, again, he averaged more than 98, but he only won it 6-4 against the young Dutchman, who kept on finding little ways to nick legs against him, and it could have gone all the way there. Zonneveld missed a couple of darts to take it to a last leg decider. But then Johnny Clayton, it was another tight game, 6-4, but Peter Wright's averaged almost 105 there. Then he beat Michael van Gerwen, and he beat him well. And then he's just absolutely obliterated Jamie Hughes, again with an average just shy of the ton.
We could well be in for one of those finals, Dan, that isn't blistering. It's just good, but there are going to be key misses from maybe both players. And they're the better finals for me.
60.
Well, it could be a dramatic one. Certainly, we saw a dramatic one earlier this year between Daryl Gurney and Ricky Evans, the only Euro Tour final so far this year not to feature MVG, apart from this one here. That one finished 8-6 in favour of Super Chin, who literally collapsed to the floor after hitting the winning double because Ricky was breathing down his neck.
81.
Sneaky gets himself to that 160. But the advantage of throw is paramount in the early stages of this one.
85.
Very good last dart from Ian White.
160.
Similar position to the first leg of the match.
60.
Sensible switch to the bullseye there to even up the score, just in case the number 3 seed can't convert tops.
Well, if there has been an Achilles heel for Ian White so far today, at times he's looked a little shaky on double top and double 10. Peter Wright will be looking at the targets. Could get 2 double tops here. And he went for it.
60. In the required 20.
I think in that spot, if you say to yourself, my opponent is definitely going to hit double 10, you'd much rather miss it high. Hasn't got double 10 yet. Now he has. As you were, staying on throw. Who's to say we're not going to go all the way again like we did last week? In Graz, it was 7-all, and it was Ian White who got himself into that position, but ran out of gas right in the last furlong. I think maybe things are turning up a notch now.
We have seen this weekend a barrage of 180s. We've seen the 9-darter missed on the double. We've seen people go 7 darts into it, 6 darts into it, countless times. Ian White has been responsible for a few of them.
100.
Do you think Ian White might be a slight favourite in this match because of his sheer darts fitness over the last couple of weeks?
It's difficult in a European Tour final to back against Peter Wright with the pedigree he has. When you look at the finals he's lost, the vast majority have been to Michael van Gerwen, and he's not here. Peter Wright is a special player, and he has been consistent all the way through this weekend. But 2 misses there allows Ian White to have a poke at this. A leg where Snakebite has hit 2 180s. Could be lost, because it could be trumped by the 170 finish. Oh, it's a stormer from the diamond!
Well, if you look at the demeanour of Snakebite, as soon as he hit that second treble, he just nodded and said, I know he's going to hit this, and that could well be the turning point. That's 3 170s we've seen this weekend. Now it's time for Peter to bite back. The only way he can is to pound that treble. Ian White is a heavy scorer, make no mistake. He's going to have to find a lot of accuracy on that red bit to stay with Diamond.
Well, look, Ian White on the Pro Tour stuff. He's averaging more than 97 for the year. Peter Wright just below the 97. These two are evenly matched. But Ian White has been doing more than Peter Wright so far in 2019. As we've already mentioned this weekend, Peter Wright has had other things going on. His wife's been ill, they're worried about her health, it's been a distraction, the Premier League has not gone well. Ian White has just been doing what Ian White does, playing Pro Tour stuff week in, week out, and finding his way through to quarters, semis, finals. The only thing that's missing is a win. And it could be coming here tonight.
Very tight knitted ton there from Peter Wright. But it's still advantage White. I feel like I'm a poet tonight because everything's rhyming. Right, White. Right in another sense.
60.
Might have to start saying correct instead of right.
You do you, Paul. You do you.
Oh, that's a 140 and a half.
Absolutely clattered into that dart in the 60. Now then, Ian White's already taken out the 170. 144 if this goes. Well, it would have put him halfway to the title.
Well, considering he's just hit a combination of two treble 20s, why would you go to 18s in that shot? And then he's hit the 60 with dart 2, funnily enough. But now it's another potentially 3-dart kill that he needs. This will be huge. This will get him back on terms and back on throw.
57.
Ian White can punish.
Just couldn't reach it.
48.
Is that a good guide? Nothing in the way of the double 8.
32.
But the dart can't find it either.
20.
Oh, he dabbed the board with a dart there. He wasn't happy with that effort. Now listen to the crowd if he hits this.
Game shown the fifth leg. Peter Wright. 6th leg. Peter the front first.
We are back on throw. Chance missed for Ian White to be in the distance. This was always going to be close. There were always going to be misses. But if Peter Wright keeps sticking around, you feel he might be favourite. The 200th of this weekend, and we don't see that all the time. This has been a high-quality weekend.
It really has, but we know that these two have got more gears to move through potentially in this final. We have seen missed darts at double. But look, this is Peter Wright's first Euro Tour final for about 18 months.
Is there a call there after that second dart to maybe go to the 57 or the 51?
Well, I mean, you just stuck 2 in there. There was room, but
his darts do kick to the right ever so slightly. Not as much as they used to, but the way they fly, it would have been difficult for him to get that third 60.
41.
Peter Wright looking good to level this one up.
This is how the final of a European Tour should be.
59.
It should be a bit edgy. It should have a crowd that is really engrossed in it, and they are. Listen to them.
Yeah, edge of their seat stuff.
60.
If I sit on the edge of my seat anymore, they're going to start charging me council tax.
Well, it's a complete leg off for the diamond here.
That's what you call a Russian dart player who goes missing. Going to have a leg off. Back for double 10. And Ian White, I think, psychologically has let this one go.
Peter requires 20.
He is down to a finish now. He's having a bit of a Yorkshire board leg, just avoiding all trebles. But Peter Wright has just been gifted a route back to parity. Double 10 is pinned. Now, was the Diamond already focusing on the next leg, trailing by so much in that last leg?
Well, when I was growing up, I was told by great dart players in the late 90s that the key to being a great player was picking your spots and making sure that you held your throw. There's a player in Northumberland called Davy Richardson, who played at Lakeside a few times. He said, you've got to guard your throw, you've got to defend it with your life. If you get a chance, you have to take it. And Ian White is from that same generation. He has that mentality of just guarding his throw, and sometimes when you're so far behind on their throw, you're already thinking about the next one, getting yourself mentally ready.
Well, look, I mean, James Wade's the absolute ninja in that, isn't he? He is a man you can see him switch off in legs and stop trying as much. But as soon as that next leg starts, he goes right back on it, and he can turn it on and off. But Ian White, he has shown us on a couple of occasions this weekend. He certainly did against Keegan Brown, and he did at the start of the game against Steve Beaton, that he went through a purple patch where he was unplayable. We are talking 120 plus averages for a 3-4 leg spell. Now, if he goes into one of those spells in this final, it's probably enough to claim the title. But you can't turn that on and off like a tap. If he could, he'd already be a world champion.
I wish we could. It was 11, 12, 11, the 3-leg blitz against Beaton in the semis. And I think you're right, Dan. If he does that one more time, it may be enough distance to get him close enough to the line to go over it.
You require 101.
Well, he certainly put a spurt on at the back end of his game with Jeffrey Desvaughn as well, dragging his average up to just over 97. Treble 14 or ball. Well, you can argue all night long about whether that's the right shot, but he leaves himself on double top.
At which point does Peter Wright say, I've got to take one of these shots. I've got to break this guy at some point. Got to give himself something a bit more doable than 137. Or he could take this out. Well, it's not going to happen. But at some point in this match,
93.
if he doesn't break him,
he's
he's going to lose this. He's going to need to find an opportunity.
The Diamond does pin it, and he keeps his nose in front. But once again, we see Ian White holding his throw in 6 visits to the board. That makes him vulnerable. Because at the moment, these two are playing their worst games of the whole weekend.
I'm not surprised by that, because it is a bruising schedule playing on the Sunday. They both know all about that.
Well, certainly Ian White knows about it. He's been doing it every week.
96.
But the Diamond, we saw him last time out. He really did give Michael Van Gerwen a run for his money. Now, do you go into
60.
a final, whether you're Ian White or Peter Wright, you go into a final and you're facing Michael Van Gerwen, you know you're the underdog, you know the other guy's expected to win. Here, I think they'll both be thinking, I'm the favourite here. Ian White will be saying, I've been playing better all this weekend. Peter Wright's been out of form. I've been doing better than in the last few months. Peter Wright will be thinking, I've won this title. I've made the final 2 more times. I'm the second most successful player in the Euro Tour. They'll be convinced that they should win this final.
I agree. It makes for a very interesting personality and psychological dynamic.
Well, Ian Wright getting his maths wrong there, and is that just a little sign that he isn't thinking quite as clearly as he might do, because things aren't coming as easily to Ian White in this final as they have done in every other game in this tournament?
96.
Maybe he felt that he was going to get 6 starts from 165, and that's a slip.
He's going to need all 6, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Possibly more.
Now that 140 is looking like a mistake, but it wasn't previously to him. But Peter Snakebite Wright, if he gets this 180, forces Ian White to take this 124 even with just the 140. Now the shoe's on the other foot. Ian White has to take this 3-dart combo, you feel.
Treble 18. Not going to get another go at the bullseye.
56.
And Peter Wright.
Peter requires 60.
It is just for a hold of throw.
It's that flight blocking tops. He doesn't want to do an Aspinall. Oh, great dart. Great dart from Peter Wright.
Well, on goes this intriguing final. It is tight.
60.
If Ian White loses this final, you have permission to pass him the sick bucket. He's going to feel very nauseous. He's been knocking on that door all month.
100.
Yeah, I mean, look, Ian White, he will be thinking, great, I've made another final, and just for once, I've not got the most successful player in the history of the European Tour stood in my way. Oh, who have I got? Oh, the second most successful player in the history of the Euro Tour. That, incredibly, is Ian White's first 180 of this final. Peter Wright might be about to hit his 20th of the weekend.
140.
Not quite.
This is what we want. An even score, an even leg count. Oh, that's very unfortunate.
Yeah, even an extra 20 points there makes a big, big difference in this situation.
Especially if Peter Wright gets 2 trebles. He's not going to get to a finish, so it's not as relevant now.
Ian, you require 141.
It's really interesting to see Ian White. Sometimes he sprints to the hockey. He'll be sprinting to the board if he gets 12s.
117.
Well, just some signs over the last few visits that maybe Ian White is gearing up, moving through the gears. Potentially he could be about to have one of those purple patches.
100.
And if he does,
Ian,
Peter Wright, look, they're both there for their taking. Whoever can, turn it on for the next 2-3 legs can take this final away from the other man. That is a 13-dart leg from the Diamond Ian White. 5-4 up, a race to 8, remember.
I was saying to Chris Murphy earlier that when you get to this stage, what you did in the practice room is history. It's all about everything being natural. How good is your darting autopilot?
Well, that's it. You've played in finals, major finals, Euro Tour finals. There will be nerves at the start of the game. There'll certainly be nerves as the finish line approaches. But at this midpoint of the match, this is just 2 guys throwing at the board in a rhythm, isn't it? Now, admittedly, it's not going as well as they would like, and they're getting a little bit frustrated at times. But if one of them can just settle into a groove and start throwing in the way they've been throwing for most of this weekend, then they could get to such a position where they've got a bit of time to try and get over the line, even if the nerves do return.
For the want of a better comparison, you want to be playing like you're in a Scooby-Doo cartoon. You want to be constantly doing the same thing over and over and over again. You go to the board, you get your darts, you walk back, you take a deep breath, you go to the board, you take your darts out. It just becomes so repetitive. And you try and forget all of the highs and lows. You just try and get on with it.
121.
Very good indeed. I was really intrigued to see whether he went 18s there on 98 left. But what does he do now? Does he split? Does he go? I think the split. Got a split. Back yourself, Peter. Go for the 6. Or, no, straight downstairs. That's the problem. But when you're that good, why not put one in the way and put it around the wall?
Are these two coming good at just the right time? A 14-dart reply to the 13-darter from the Diamond. Now you see, apart from that spectacular 12 darter, the 170 checkout, they're the two best legs of the match. Are they settling down? I mean, the 41 scored for Ian Wright just then does not suggest so, but...
Don't understand why he's staying on the 60.
Well, I mean, he is stubborn, isn't he?
Both of them are. We've seen it in this match so far. So many other trebles begging to be hit with nothing in the way. Use the 17s. It can be your best friend. It's got a 1 on the end. Puts your score on 0. Use the 7. It leaves a 4.
99.
You can stay straight from there on in and leave yourself on things like 164, 124, 84. Or even 130, 110, 90. We're a stubborn species, dart players.
97.
It has been an epic weekend in the Glass Palast. One of these two men walks away with a title. Either Peter Wright becomes a 2-time champion of the European Darts Grand Prix and picks up his 7th Euro Tour title, or Ian Wright wins this for the first time and picks up just his 2nd big stage title in PDC darts at the end of a phenomenal 3-week spell where he has been arguably the most consistent player on the European Tour. Certainly between him and MVG.
Well, if he goes to the Pro Tours next weekend and still hasn't got a title in the bag, in 2019 he'll wonder how. Wright needs another treble to get to a finish. Gets it. What an excellent darting crowd we've got here. Full credit to the Sindelfingen Massive.
Oh, now then.
34.
That was important.
160.
Now, 2 darters coming in. We're waiting for something to happen. Double 4 for the lead again. Brilliant from Ian Wright. Real respect from Team Snakebite and Team Diamond, because we still can't get that huge break that may be the telling factor.
Well, look, we did see a 2-leg gap opened up at 3-1 when Ian Wright took out that 170 checkout, the 3rd of this tournament.
81.
But immediately, Peter Wright hit back and cut the gap to 1, and we have not seen a 2-leg gap open up again. It has been tight, it has been tense, and because it's been so tight, I think it's probably hampered these guys' ability to settle down. It's been nip and tuck right the way through. And
95.
I've still got no idea who walks away with the title here.
I'm with you there, Dan. And the words of the great Phil Taylor come into practice here. You can't practice these situations. You've got to be there to do it and feel it.
Well, and that is very much the point for Ian Wright, isn't it?
37.
He made 1 big stage final on the Euro Tour in 2012, when, let's be honest, it was a little bit different than what it's become today, even though it was held in this very venue. I don't think you were getting the crowds back then. You certainly wasn't being beamed all over the world. It has taken him 6 years to get to another one of these, and now he's made 4 in about 8-9 months. He is getting more experience at doing this. But can he get over the line in this tense game? Because at the minute, Peter Wright looks good to make it 6-all.
I don't know about you, Dan, but I'm feeling genuinely nervous about this.
This means a lot to both of these guys. Peter Wright had tears in his eyes when he beat Michael van Gerwen.
60.
So he's a bit like that song by Ultravox.
48.
Dancing with tears in his eyes.
Let's say yeah.
888. Yeah, it's there, 6-6. We are now into a best-of-3 match.
Game on.
Oh. Well, look, we've only seen him hit one maximum in this final, Ian White. But he'll be quite happy for that to stay at 1 if he can keep on piling in those 2 treble visits.
100.
Well, spots like that where Peter Wright gets that lovely guide in that 60, and there's a massive amount of it underneath that dart to hit. You could classify that as a bad ton.
100.
That one's a good ton because he gets the 60 with dart 3. Forces Wright to get 2 trebles to stay on par. This is where you've got to switch. That's where Rob Cross would have switched. Van Gerwen would have switched. Get the 57, get the 54, 131 gets you back on terms.
Yeah, well, Rob Cross
60.
has more switches than a telephone exchange. Peter Wright, a very different kind of player.
He's one of those freaky dart players that can hit the corner of a 60 when it's shielded. Just think back to that double 19 that he hit.
Well, I mean, Peter Wright literally has a practice board, a scoring board, which is just the little segment with the 5, the 20 and the 1, which he goes and sticks on the wall, carries around with him. And if he's in a hotel somewhere, that's his scoring practice board. You don't want to switch on that. You'll end up in the wall.
81.
There is no switching. There's nothing to switch to. Pressure coming in. Could be all sorts of pressure.
Here comes the power. Needed some more to get the full boat. But is that enough just to make Ian White twitch a little bit? That one's in the corner. That one's in the middle, and it's covered the whole bed, is it? Has he got enough to the left?
100.
This one is way more doable than a lot of the shots he's had to break Ian White.
He has not checked out anything over 100 in this match as yet, Peter Wright. Will that change now? Because if it does change now, then Peter Wright might be about to return to the winner's circle on the Euro Tour. What a checkout!
14 flag. Peter to throw first.
He is rattling words around himself right now. He's saying, keep an even keel. Stay focused. One more. And Ian White is thinking, not again.
Peter Wright in the European Tour
100.
made the first couple of finals last year. And the first one in particular was a heartbreaker in Leverkusen. Because having had his most successful year in 2017, back on the Euro Tour, straight through to the final, playing fantastically. Michael Van Gerwen, he was first to 6 legs. He was first to 7 legs. But because of the extended format, he had to get to 8, and Michael Van Gerwen pipped him. Here, this is the first time he has led in this final.
Oh, that 140 is unbelievable. As was the 140 from Ian White to start this leg. He's showing great spirit as the diamond. Ton gets him level. So many legs like this in the last 4 or 5 where you can't split them until the very end.
In terms of quality, it's been their worst displays of the tournament from these two. But my word, it's made for a fascinating contest.
It hasn't felt like that, was it?
Oh, the 161. Was this not the checkout that proved to be decisive in the final 2 years ago when he whitewashed Michael Van Gerwen? And he might have to take it out to win this.
Ian White has got stones. He really has. Back against the wall. And he's left 81 after 9 and told Peter, you need this or I'm going to nick it off you. But he might not get a chance.
This would be ridiculous. Oh, and he cannot find the 51, and Ian White will get a go at the 81, a loose last start. It could yet prove to be a problem for him.
62 left. No,
oh my
big
word.
number. You've got to be kidding me.
41.
In that spot, big 12.
He requires 69.
Peter Wright now, 2 darts away, potentially 3, from a 7th Euro Tour title.
Ian Wright tries to shake out the stress, the nerves. But missing the big number might be his last act.
49.
Came out the hand late.
Ian, you require 40.
The crowd can't believe it. And we are going all the way to the last leg if Ian Wright hits tops. We are going all the way. What a dart from Ian Wright. Wow, he's got the throwback.
And final leg, Ian to throw first.
People say Ian Wright hasn't got bottle. People say he can't do it under pressure. People say he can't perform on big stages. But Ian Wright is throwing in a last leg decider for a 2nd Euro Tour title.
How is that mismatched dart going to affect Snakebite? Has he got enough in the tank to have one last charge and one last break? Staying up top.
100.
Still on as even. It may come down to 1 dart in this leg.
He was beaten in a last leg decider last time out by Michael van Gerwen.
Boy, I know how these guys are feeling.
You've been here on this stage.
Last leg decider. Left 24 after 12.
57.
Fluffed the lines.
Ian Wright has this title in his hand. Can he just clasp his fingers around it? Where's he looking?
100.
Okay, well, he's hit 100 to leave 162. If Peter Wright fills this up, he's down to a finish before him. This is nerves. This is what this has to be.
Still advantage Ian Wright. He's got that big lead.
60.
Bigger than he expected. He can lay up and choose any double he wants. This an amazing position for him.
100.
And that is an amazing last dart, because now he is definitely going to get match darts.
Peter Wright had a dart for the title. He's been in this position before. He missed darts to win this title and lost to Kim
60.
Huybrechts a few years back.
Ian, you require
But Ian
62.
Wright is going to get multiple darts for the title. In a close, tight, tense game, Peter Wright has not been able to apply enough pressure on Ian Wright in this decider. He smiles, he looks at double 16. In this decider, he smiles, he looks at double 16.
30.
And cannot find it.
Like Arnie, he'll be back. Peter will believe if he can put in 2 trebles here, he may put enough pressure on to make it edgy.
100.
Maybe that's enough.
Ian, you
Maybe
require
it's enough.
32.
But maybe not, because the diamond does not miss this time. He wins it. 3rd time lucky for the diamond. He's a 2-time Euro Tour winner. Peter Wright might well be back, but Ian Wright has done it on the big stage again, and once more proves his doubters wrong. The diamond picks up 25 grand, the European Darts Grand Prix title, and joins greats like Peter Wright himself and Michael van Gerwen in winning this trophy. A tense, exhausting final after a superb weekend. It's a little break from Euro Tour action for now, but not for very long. You'll see Peter Wright on Thursday in the Premier League and Ian Wright back on the Pro Tour next weekend. We'll leave you with your champion and your runner-up, the Diamond Pip Snakebite, to the title in Sindelfingen.
Und damit kommen wir zur Siegerehrung des European Darts Grand Prix 2019. Und zu dieser möchte ich herzlich von der PDC Europe Sebastian Meyer hier oben auf die Bühne bitten. Ladies and Gentlemen, Runner-up. Und damit geht ein Preisgeld in Höhe von 10.000 Pfund an Snakebite Peter Wright. Und der Champion des European Darts Grand Prix 2019. Es ist sein zweiter European Tour Erfolg. Er kommt aus Stoke-on-Trent. Ian Diamond White. Ian, congratulations. The third final in a row. You well deserved it. That's huge for you, huh?
It is. You know, it took me 6 years from. I was in the final here in 2012 in September, and it took me 6 years to win one. And then all of a sudden, I've been in 3 finals, and I'm just glad I got over the line. It was a bit of a struggle between me and Peter. We didn't play our best, but
it was a close match. I mean, even though the quality was not that high.
yeah, it was very close. I knew if I miss a double, Pete was just going to take it out. But that 170 was just probably hurt him a bit. But then he come back into the game.
Also er sagt, das war vielleicht nicht das beste Match zwischen Peter und ihm, aber natürlich ist er froh, dass er es gemacht hat. Er stand 2012 hier schon mal im Finale, damals gegen Adrian Lewis, und hat jetzt 7 Jahre gebraucht, um den Titel endlich zu holen. Peter, Peter, I know, once you beat MVG in the quarters and then you reach the final, you want to win the whole thing. Even though, great tournament, was great to have you here in Sindelfing. Peter Wright.
Just got to say, well done Ian White.
Ian, the second European Tour title. Last year in the Netherlands, this is the first time in Germany. How many will you get in 2019?